What if you woke up tomorrow in a world ruled by forces you couldn't even begin to comprehend? Your eyes snap open, but immediately something feels wrong. You sit up in your bed, your heart racing as you're met with a silence so absolute it rings in your ears like a siren. There is no morning bird song, no distant hum of traffic, just a deafening, rhythmic trembling beneath your feet that feels like the earth itself is being reshaped by a massive, invisible heartbeat. You stumble toward your window, but as you pull back the curtain, a cold, primordial terror grips your chest. The sky isn't the blue you remember. It's a shimmering, metallic violet, a canopy of artificial particles designed to keep the heat out and the truth in. The world didn't end with a bang or a whimper. It ended with a contract. While we were distracted by the headlines of the old world, the elite were busy building the exit. Imagine stepping outside your door only to find the landscape has been utterly flattened, every familiar hill gone, replaced by kilometers-high spires that pierce the purple clouds. You look down and see strange geometric patterns carved into the scorched earth, footprints of an industry so massive they look like swimming pools from your doorstep. You crane your neck upward, but you can't even see where these structures end. They tower above you like cathedral entrances, casting shadows that stretch across the horizon like moving mountains, turning your reality into a permanent, sunless twilight. Every tree you see is a synthetic replica. Every breath you take is a metered commodity. You feel like an ant looking up at a mountain, realizing with horror that you are no longer a citizen of Earth. You are an oversight in a world built for beings who see you as nothing more than an insect to be managed. This is your new reality. You are not just small, you are utterly helpless. Why is the sky a different color? Why are the experts staying silent? We'll find out together as we peek behind the curtain of the year 2050. Welcome to the end of humanity as you know it. Ignorance isn't bliss, it's extinction. By the time you reach the street level of 2050, the illusion of the quiet transition shatters. You realize that the surface of the earth has become a no-go zone for anyone without a premium subscription to survival. The heat doesn't just shimmer, it vibrates, a relentless, suffocating force that has rendered the traditional middle-class life extinct. You look around and see the architecture of a divided species. Towering above the heat haze are the cloud cities, massive kilometer-high spires that pierce the atmosphere like silver needles. These are the fortresses of the silent rulers, designed for an eternal spring, far above the chaos. But for you and the billions like you, there are only the basement burrows. These are subterranean labyrinths of repurposed shipping containers stacked miles deep into the cooling crust of the earth to escape a sun that has become an enemy. The sheer scale of these megastructures defy human comprehension. As you stare up at the base of a spire, you feel the same primordial insignificance your ancestors felt standing before the 800-ton stones of Baalbek. Historians once struggled to explain how ancient hands moved those impossible trilithons. Yet here you are, witnessing a feat of engineering that makes those ancient mysteries look like child's play. Modern engineers once claimed they couldn't replicate the precision of Puma Punku. Now the elite have built entire cities that move and breathe with a technology you can't even begin to understand. In this vertical world, your perspective is that of an ant looking up at a mountain. The doorways of the elite tower above you like cathedral entrances you could never reach, and the stairs they walk are carved from blocks of light and steel, each step a height you can barely climb.
You are trapped in the crevices of a world built for beings who handle massive resources like you handle coffee cups. Every structure is a reminder the world above is no longer for humans. You aren't just living below them, you are living in their shadow, waiting for the momentary mercy of beings who could end your existence without even noticing they'd done it. In the year 2050, you quickly learn that survival isn't a right you were born with, it's a tiered service you have to renew. The air around you, once free and life-giving, has become a metered commodity. You realize with a jolt of terror that your very existence is tied to a 24-hour countdown glowing beneath the skin of your wrist, a lifetimer that dictates exactly how much time you have left in the oxygen-rich, clean zones. Imagine the psychological horror of every beat being a transaction. When the countdown hits 0, the atmospheric scrubbers in your sector simply stop. To live another day, you must pay. This is the new economy of the silent rulers, where the watchers of the past have been replaced by the algorithm of 2050, and the price of entry is your total submission. As you navigate the subterranean corridors of the basement burrows, you see others, skeletal, gray-haired from the sheer unrelenting stress, staring at their own wrists with wide, paranoid eyes. Your nervous system, never designed to handle a threat that never sleeps, is constantly flooded with stress hormones. You find yourself jumping at the slightest hum of a ventilation fan, wondering if the lifetimers of your neighbors are about to expire. This is the true absolute powerlessness. In this world, you are not a citizen. You are an insect being examined before disappearing into the mouth of corporate greed, so vast you could walk into it standing upright. Every breath you take is a lesson in insignificance, a reminder that you are at the momentary mercy of beings who could end your existence by simply cutting off your route to clean air without even noticing they'd done it.
In the year 2050, you wake up to a hunger that can never truly be satisfied, because real food has become a myth, a legend whispered by the gray-haired survivors who still remember the taste of the earth. In the ancient age of the Nephilim, the giants were insatiable consumers who eventually turned their hunger toward humanity itself. But in this new era, the silent rulers don't need to eat you. They've simply replaced everything you were meant to eat. You walk to your dispenser and watch as a 3D printer hums, extruding a lab-grown nutritional sludge known as the Gray. It is a synthetic protein, a cold and soulless harvest designed to keep you skeletal and compliant. As you force it down, you realize that the natural world has been completely erased. There are no more forests, no more golden wheat fields swaying in the wind. Instead, the landscape is covered in programmable moss and solar harvesting trees that look like twigs from the height of the elite spires. Every grain of natural life has been trampled into the dust by the march of progress. You are a scavenger in a world of programmable matter, gathering synthetic scraps while the silent rulers look down from their cloud sanctuaries. To them, your desperate struggle for a meal is just part of the game. You feel the constant malnutrition weakening your bones, your hands shaking as you reach for your plastic cup, a vessel larger than your hope, yet smaller than your despair. This is the synthetic reality of 2050. You aren't just small, you are an experimental subject in a world where nature is a memory and the gray is your only lifeline. Every survival instinct you have is useless here because you cannot fight a harvest that has already been won by someone else. You are living on borrowed time, eating borrowed food in a world that has forgotten what it means to be alive. In the age of the giants, the Watchers descended from the heavens to observe and corrupt.
But in 2050, the watchers have been replaced by something far more invasive, the algorithm. You no longer possess the sanctuary of your own mind. In this strange world, you don't speak, you ping. Your thoughts, once the only private property you truly owned, have been integrated into a web of neural interconnectivity that maps your every impulse before you even feel it. Imagine sitting in a crowded transport pod, surrounded by people, yet the silence is absolute. Not because no one is communicating, but because the conversation is happening in a digital hive mind you cannot escape. You feel a sudden spark of anger at the silent ones in their spires, a momentary flicker of rebellion, but before you can even form the thought into a plan, you feel a cold, rhythmic pulse in your temple. The algorithm has already detected the spike in your adrenaline. The silent ones use these thought streams to predict and crush resistance before it even begins. They don't need to see you to find you. They can sense your presence through the data exhaust of your own consciousness. To them, your mind is an open book, a collection of forbidden knowledge they harvest to ensure the status quo remains unshakable. This is the ultimate psychological breakdown. You live in a state of constant giant paranoia, unable to enjoy even a moment of inner peace because you know your very soul is being monitored. You jump at every digital notification, every phantom vibration in your skull, wondering if you've just committed a thought crime that will end your 24-hour subscription to life. You realize with horror that your mind is being rewritten by beings whose technology you can't even begin to understand. Resistance isn't just difficult, it's statistically impossible when your enemy knows your next move better than you do. You are a toy in a digital game, and the silent ones are playing for keeps. In the age of the giants, ancient texts speak of forbidden knowledge, secrets of the stars, the elements, and the arts of war taught by the watchers to corrupt and control. But in 2050, that forbidden knowledge hasn't vanished, it's simply been hoarded. You might wonder why the brilliant minds, the scientists, and the experts who saw this coming aren't screaming from the rooftops. The answer is the whistleblower's paradox. The very people who could save the world are the ones being paid to build its replacement for someone else. The technology to reverse the violet sky and scrub the toxins from the no-go zones already exists. But as you wander through the ruins of the old world, you realize this isn't an engineering failure, it's a systematic global reset. The experts stay silent because they've been promised a seat on the Ark projects. Much like the biblical flood was a radical reset to exterminate the abominations of a corrupted age, the 2050 reset is designed to wash away the useless eaters of the surface. Deep beneath the crust, shielded by miles of stone and advanced geoengineering, the elite have planted the seeds of a new civilization. These aren't just bunkers, they are Ark cities, subterranean Edens with real water, real soil, and real light, intended only for the selected 1%. When an expert tries to speak out, they don't just lose their job, they lose their lifetimer subscription. They are faced with a choice: stay silent and watch the world burn from a plush seat in the Ark, or speak the truth and be plucked like an insect into the vast mouth of the basement burrows. You see it in their eyes during the rare flickering broadcasts, the same giant paranoia you feel every day. They know that the silent ones can stop a heart with a digital thought or rearrange the landscape of a person's life at a whim. To the experts, survival isn't about solving the problem, it's about the momentary mercy of beings who view humanity as a resource to be consumed. The silence isn't a lack of information, it's a deafening scream of self-preservation. So we return to the question that started this journey. Could you survive 24 hours in the year 2050?
The answer, as you've seen, isn't about your strength, your cleverness, or even your will to live. It's about the fact that the world you were born into, the world where you were a dominant species, has been replaced by a system where you are merely an oversight. Like our ancient ancestors who watched the shadows of the Nephilim return to the horizon after the Great Flood, we are entering a cycle we cannot stop. History isn't a straight line, it's a circle of power and insignificance. Just as the giants of old filled the earth with violence and saw humanity as nothing more than insects to be crushed or consumed, the silent rulers of 2050 have rewritten the very physics of your reality to ensure your absolute powerlessness. You are living on borrowed time, breathing metered air, and eating synthetic sludge in a world that has forgotten your name. Your nervous system wasn't designed for this level of constant, primordial terror. Eventually, the lesson of your own insignificance would break you, just as it broke those who came before you. But perhaps the most terrifying truth is that we've chosen to see the warnings of the past as mere myths and the signs of the future as primitive superstitions. We've grown soft and unprepared for the reality that there are things in this world far more powerful than ourselves. And that is exactly what they've been waiting for. In the age of the silent rulers, just like the age of the giants, ignorance isn't bliss, it's extinction. What do you think? Are we already living in the shadow of this new world, or is there still a way to break the cycle? Let us know in the comments. Give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. If you're ready to see the blueprint they don't want you to find, and if you want to learn how to opt out of the 2050 timeline before the contract is sealed, watch our next video appearing on your screen right now. Keep your minds open, and until we meet again.